What's up, YouTube? Welcome to 6 Days. I am Bob Six, and today, this is going to be a rough one for me. I'm warning you in advance. There may be some tears. I did a whole lot of crying yesterday. Today is my remembering and farewell to the best friend I've ever had in my life. His name's Jeff Martin. We met 40 years ago. I can't describe how much he means to me. Nor can I explain or express the heartache, heartbreak, and devastation I felt yesterday when I found out he had died. I instantly cried. And I know that some of you will go, well, you should. You don't understand. I'm not a crier. 6 years ago, I watched my father pass away. I watched him, literally watched him take his final breath, and I closed his eyes. I didn't cry. I cried when I wrote his eulogy, but I didn't cry as I watched him die. So I've struggled with that for a little bit since I've read the news, thinking something was wrong with me. Why would I not cry watching my father die? And I get the news that Jeff died and I cried. I think the reason is because I watched my father wither away for 2 years. I knew he was going to die. I knew it was coming. I didn't know that with Jeff. I had a sneaky feeling that this time could be, because it was going on longer, that this could be it. But in my heart of hearts, I kept saying, he's going to pull through. He's going to be fine. Only he wasn't. So, if I cry, sorry. I'm not going to edit it out. It is what it is. I also want to warn you up front that some of you who didn't know Jeff as long as I have, some of the memories I'm going to share are funny. Some of them are maybe inappropriate. Some of them may be shocking. But they're all my memories. This is my goodbye to the best friend I've ever had. The reason I'm choosing to share what I'm going to share is because I firmly believe in the butterfly effect. So everything in your life makes you who you are. Every little thing changes. So this is the good and the bad. And I'm mostly the bad. As I told his mom, because we're friends, and we used to talk about it, I taught him all of his bad habits. I was like a big brother. Or almost all of his bad habits. I'm sure he had some I didn't teach him. I met Jeff in late March 1979. We moved a block away from him, and a person named Chris had met Jeff, introduced us, and we clicked right off the bat. Jeff knew he was not clicking with this person. They're friends, or they were friends, but not like we were. We clicked instantly. And I'm going to explain this for the first time ever openly, publicly, because of the last conversation me and Jeff had, he said something that shocked me, and I had no idea. So, which puts a whole new spin on our friendship. I was pretty sure when we first met, I was 12 years old, I was pretty sure he was gay. Because he was not the most masculine fellow in the world. However, he was everything a best friend should be. Now, the reason I wasn't 100% positive at that moment at 12 years old is because my biological father, when I was young, put this bullshit into our heads about what gays were and how gays acted. I was like, well, he's not doing any of these. So maybe he's just kind of a feminine type guy. So April of 1980, we moved to Journey for 3 years, Fort Lewis for a year, and then we came back and literally bought the house we were living in before we left. And we picked up right back onto our friendship. Like the 4 years didn't even miss. So I'm going to run through some of our bad habits now that I've established just how tight we were. I taught Jeff how to fight. I started teaching him when we were I think when I was 12, and I know for sure I followed up in 17 at 17. But I think it was the younger years. I'd given him 2 black eyes, and his father told me that if I gave him a third one, we wouldn't be allowed to hang out anymore. Didn't matter why he got them. And they were accidents. I didn't like, hey, dude, block this. It wasn't like that. They were accidents. But I know for sure when we were 17, we were in my front yard, and I had been trying to teach him, if you miss with a punch, I was trying to show him how to do a follow-up with a roundhouse type punch. And he couldn't get it, couldn't get it. And this hot girl was walking by, and he knocked the living shit out of me right in front of her. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I taught Jeff to smoke, or he started smoking because of me. I can't say I taught him to smoke. I got permission to smoke when I was 12. I'm not going to go into all the whys and stuff, but it was the 70s, okay? So he spent the night at my house, decided he wanted to try it, and we were sharing cigarettes. Well, I had just started inhaling. He was not inhaling, so we were like burning through this pack of cigarettes. I got sick as a dog. I was inhaling, he wasn't. We used to drink a lot. And I've told his mom, I'm surprised y'all didn't know. Most Japanese people that I know, all the ones I know anyways, when they start getting a little tipsy, they start getting red splotches on their skin. There's a lot of times I drive Jeff home and make sure he got in the house. He looked like a red Oompa Loompa. I mean, bright red. But, oh wow, excuse me. But I'm not judging or anything like that. I'm just saying, I was surprised we didn't get busted. But we would be so drunk, I would literally have to drive him to his house, park his car, walk him to the door, and then I would walk up the street to my house. I remember the first time that I got him high. Now, when I say I don't smoke pot, I mean, I don't at all now. I haven't for years, but as a rule, I don't smoke pot because the people I hang around with, I go to sleep. I love the smell of pot, but I can't smoke it because it puts me to sleep like that. And the people I hang around with, Jeff included, you could wind up naked somewhere. You didn't want to be like somebody's front yard, in your own front yard. So I didn't like to get high and go to sleep, but I did smoke a lot of pot with Jeff. And I don't know how long he carried it on. But the first time I got him high, we went to see Spies Like Us. It was in the theaters. That's how long ago this was. And we watched it, and man, it was hilarious. So the next day he said, dude, I don't think I got high. I said, no, you were plenty high. He said, I don't think so. I didn't feel any different. I said, well, we're going to see Spies Like Us tonight. He said, we just saw it last night. I said, but we're going to see it tonight, and we're not getting high. I don't think we made it halfway through the movie, and he was like, this is stupid. You were in tears last night laughing about it. So he had wanted me one time to get some pot, and I said no. So he went to this Chris person who used to get the best pot, hands down. Don't make any plans. Get comfy on the couch, burn a joint, and just enjoy TV. I hope you don't have to change the channels. That's how good his pot was. So we were riding, and he said, hey, let's get high. I was like, no, I don't have any pot. So he said, well, I do. So we went to the city park, and I rolled us a little pinner. We had these 2 girls with us, so there's 4 of us. This little pinner joint, just a tiny joint. It baked all 4 of us. I was like, man, if I had rolled a big fat fatty, we would have been sleeping out here overnight. I I have to share this story. I've shared it before, but a lot of you may not know this story. The third person involved in this, I'm going to call him Scuba Steve. He passed away many years ago, but his children are still alive. And due to the relationship that I had with his children, I wouldn't want them to hear this and think any other thing about their father. Or to, oh shit, that was weird. So me, Jeff, and Scuba were day drinking at Scuba's house. It's just the three of us there. We're drinking Southern Comfort and Dr. Pepper, and we are getting tore in the middle of the afternoon. I can't remember what happened. We're all feeling pretty good. I can't remember what set this off, this chain of events. But I told Scuba that I would give him a wedgie. And he said, "Oh, no, you won't." Well, everybody knows you don't tell a drunk guy, "Oh, no, you won't." Because, "Oh, yes, he will." So we went to give him a wedgie. Well, first I went. But when Jeff saw how hard he was fighting, he got involved too. This guy fought like we were fixing to prison rape him. I mean, he fought for all it was worth. We get him pinned down. I stick my fingers in the back of his drawers and I grab them britches and whoa, literally almost fell over backwards. I probably could have hooked him over his head and still not had tension. Light blue female panties. This is probably a good time to tell you. Scuba was about that big around, and his wife, so I don't sound like I'm being mean, let's say, was much bigger than that. Much bigger. So when I pulled them drawers up, I literally just let go, and me and Jeff looked at each other like, oh. Well, Scuba jumped up and ran down the hallway screaming, "You motherfuckers!" And panties flapping behind him like a cape. And instead of leaving, as we should have, we sat back down at the table and were slowly drinking and looking at each other, almost like we were trying to think, not only what just happened, what do we do? And I'm guessing that Scuba, he either went and took them off or like folded the parachute back up and stuck them back in his pants. But he came out and he sat down, and none of us are saying, and me and Jeff are both looking at each other, and Scuba says, I can explain. I said, no, there's nothing to explain. No need to explain. He said, well, I'll call her Scuba Sarah. He said, Scuba Sarah hasn't done the laundry yet, and I didn't have any clean underwear. And I just wanted to yell at him. So you go commando. You don't put drawers on, especially female drawers, that are 4, 5, 6 times bigger than yours. Not being mean, that is a fairly accurate description. Me and Jeff talked about that for years. One time we were playing quarters at my house. This is one time I think I really pissed him off. There are very few times I've pissed Jeff off that I know of. In hindsight, I mean, I thought it was funny for a long time, but when I saw how mad he was, I bookmarked that in my mind. We were playing quarters and we're all pretty drunk, and he said he was hungry, and I said, well, have some dog food. And I reached into a dog food bag and pulled out some dog food. And he's like, no. I'm saying it nicely. It's not what he said. So Scuba Steve said, well, I'll eat some. And I said, well, I'll eat some. And as I was throwing it, and it was going into the living room, hitting the couch, so you couldn't hear it hitting the floor. And I'm not sure how Scuba Steve did, but he wasn't really eating it either. So finally Jeff goes, fine, fuck it, and took one and ate it. And he's like, are you happy? And me and Scuba fell out. We didn't really eat it, dude. I can't believe you just did that. He was mad enough about that, but I called the local rock station. I knew the DJ that was on duty, and I asked her to play Bark at the Moon for him because I had just made him eat dog food. And she's like, you are so messed up, dude. But she played it, and as soon as he heard her name, he was pissed. I think that's the only time I really pissed him off. But I bookmarked that, and I've always, and to this day, when I hear "Bark at the Moon," I can't hear that song without thinking about that moment. It's still kind of funny to me, but I feel even worse because I think that's the only time I truly pissed him off. This is where we kind of, not over the dog food, we kind of started to grow apart, and I got addicted to meth really quick. So, twofold from my side. Now, as adults, I'll tell you his side, what he told me. But I stopped for two reasons. I went off. Number one is because I did not want to bring him into this. He did pretty much everything I did, except for that. He never did that I know of. And if he did, I didn't know about it. So I didn't want to bring him because I knew as soon as I did meth, this was a monster. And it grabbed a hold of me for 2 years. Man, it beat my ass. The other reason, and I've told him this as a man, now he says otherwise. But I felt at the time that he wanted more from our friendship. Now, he'd never done anything inappropriate, ever, not even, never, ever. Let me stress that. It was just a feeling. There's an emotional tie between the two of us. And I felt he wanted more from the friendship than I could give him or that I would give him. So when I started doing meth, I went my way. There was no ugliness to it or anything like that. Jeff said, when we talked as adults, the last time we talked, he said that he thought we just grew apart. So that's good that it went that way. And that's probably a good part of, there was no animosity or anything bad in our relationship. So we get together as adults the last time that I saw him, and we had a few drinks and visited, and we discussed a lot of these things. And I told him that when I told him that I had always known he was gay and that his mom was surprised, and she literally called me. We were texting, and she had called me and said, if you knew he was gay, why did you tell people he wasn't? Because it was the 80s, and it wasn't my position to do that to him. It had to be up to him to open that door. It wasn't up to me. And his sexuality had nothing to do with our relationship at all. I assure you, there are far worse things in life than being gay. Jeff accepted everything about me and handled it in stride. Everything. So I told him there was only 2 times I felt uncomfortable about it. And I'm sure the years, well, one stuck out really hard in his mind. And when he told me, I felt so bad. We had went to Six Flags, me, him, Scuba Steve, and 2 or 3 other people. And Jeff got real clingy to me. And I mean, like, uncomfortably clingy. And it made me uncomfortable. So I told him as adults, because we never talked about it at the time. I said, that's one of the 2 times I felt uncomfortable. And he said, I was getting close to you for protection because I felt uncomfortable with Scuba Steve. There was something, he was catching some vibe, but he knew I would protect him, which is true. But I fucking hated to know I didn't pick up on that from him. I thought something else was happening. Really made me uncomfortable, but then it broke my heart to know that he felt uncomfortable, and that's why he was getting close to me, knowing that he would be safe. The other time, I'm not going to share. I was going to share but I'm not. Uh, I've shared it with his mom, and there may be a few of you that I'll share it with in private, but it's not something I want to put on YouTube. And nothing inappropriate happened. It was just a situation. So, as adults, the last time we visited, and I had said, this is where I was going a minute ago, but I went down the rabbit hole, that I'd always known he was gay. He asked me why I never told him. And then let me know without just saying it right out, just bluntly, which is odd because he could be quite blunt, that he didn't know himself what was going on with him. He knew he was different. That really hurt. Because I just assumed he knew. I assumed everyone knew who they were. I know better than that now, but it was rough. Because it was never an issue in our friendship. So I just assumed he knew he was, but it wasn't an issue, so why do it? Now if he confronted me with something or said something or hey, I need to talk, and came out to me, it would have been a whole different ball game. I would have handled it different, but it was never an issue, so I never even thought about it. So the last time we got together, and it wasn't for that long, but it means everything in the world to me. It does now. I mean, it did then. I was super excited and super touched. And I've skimmed across this because I'm watching my timer, and there's so much I could do, but man, you never know the final time you're going to see somebody. I don't care what you think. Oh no, I know. You don't know. If I had any idea that was going to be the last time I saw Jeff, probably would have tried to make him stay longer. It's devastating. So, those of us that knew him, we all get it. Some of you are watching this and you won't get it. You didn't know him. It's like when I talk about my father. People who didn't know him don't get it. My father was one of the most kindest, gentlest people you could ever hope to meet. But people that didn't know him don't get it. That's how it is with Jeff. People that didn't know him. I mean, super nice guy, do anything in the world for you, and very brutally honest. And that may have a lot to do with why I'm the way I am, because we were just brutally honest with each other. We just said whatever. That sucked, it sucked. That's awesome, it's awesome. The most important thing to me in all of this hang on just a second. What made the final time I'm an ugly crier. I think I'm ugly now. Wait till I start crying. That last meeting, the last time we got together, text and messenger, those things are good. be able to look to the eyes of a friend, or a family member, let them know how much they mean to you, that you love them more than anything else in the world. I can tell you right now, don't miss that experience, because you will regret it as long as you live. And I know that for a fact. As I get ready to close this out, Jeff helped me through a very tough time. I had had a girlfriend. We're on a break, as Ross and Rachel would say. She came by my house, and I got in a fight because I had a girl over. The last words I ever said to her were, "I hate your fucking guts." Before we could patch things up, or I could say I was sorry, or anything else. Now, Jeff told me that she told him at school she knew better. But I was just mad. I said hateful shit. But before I could say anything to her, somebody shot her in the head and killed her. So her last words for me were, "I hate your fucking guts." Fortunately, I have messages from Jeff. I know he loved me as much as I loved him. But I got to tell him face to face before he died. So, don't miss that moment. Tomorrow is not a guarantee. This went on way longer. I may have to edit some of it out. And some of you may be going, "Well, that sucks." These are my memories, my goodbye. I have been listening to the song with whole new meaning now. But "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd. I really do wish you were here. So, until next time, have a great day. Make someone laugh if you get the chance. Make sure you fucking tell the people you love that you love them. Let them know how much they mean to you. I am Bob Six. Peace.